I would like to call upon our next speakers from AVO Automation, Mr. Manish Jha, who is the Senior Director, Product Head. Manish is seasoned product person and dynamic speaker, known for expertise in gaming, automotive, AI, ML, and high-tech, ad-tech, and edtech. Along with him, we have his co-speaker, Mr. Abhishek Shukla, who is again a Senior Director, Head of Global Education, Partner Enablement and User Community, AVO Automation.
So good morning, everyone. So I represent AVO Automation. I'll give you a brief about who am I, what I do, along with my colleague who is joining me for the later part of this presentation, Abhishek Shukla, who's also going to talk about one of our flagship program, AFL, which is AVO Foundation League, more in detail. But a little bit about, who we are, right? So firstly, let's come to the area like why I'm here and talking about, one topic, which is test maintenance. And I'll talk about a little bit more detail in the later part of our presentation. Most of the time, and this is my experience when I have spoken to customers, when I've gone to client visits, there's a constant hunt of some tools, right? Oh, this tool is not working for us. How can your tool do better for us, right? This is not giving an ROI that we are expecting, or the sales guy sold us something, but it's not doing the job what it is supposed to do, right? And these are the constant things that keeps on happening. But imagine, let's say, in a scenario where you are actually have invested in a tool, and you have invested countless hours in making a robust, scalable, let's say, a very beautiful, elegant test automation framework. And then, as the complexity increases, as the time changes, as the market changes, the demand changes, your R&D and other product development approach also changes, right? As part of that, eventually you start feeling some roadblocks, some challenges with the tool, then your customer support tickets keeps increasing, then you realize that, okay, maybe there is a training that is required, then you start going towards the documentation of it, then you start talking to the customer success, having heated arguments, etc., etc. And I've been on those side of conversations as well. And then the tool, the very tool that you procured for one particular goal, which is to ease your test automation, is not doing the job. So how counterproductive it becomes, right? So that's the area that I'm going to talk about. I been alluded earlier about my background. I had product in different domains and industry in the past. From many months, after joining AVO Automation, I've building a no-code test automation platform along with various other suite of products like test data management solutions, service visualization, some things around data as well. And typically, about us as a company, we started off our journey in 2015, where it was more of a bespoke solution, where there were a few clients, and then we were doing certain X solutions in a pointed manner for them so that their solutions are met. But then, as and when internally we realize that our own thinking is getting validated and verified, it's time probably that we should productize our thinking into much more enterprisey manner, and of course, in a large scale. So 2017-18 onwards is when we started taking our product development furthermore into a different scale, into a very, very rapid, momentum. And today, 2023, we have offices in US, UK, India being one of our largest, Bangalore being one of the largest, R&D center. We have our customers from Fortune 500, global MNCs in different formats they are associated with us. So this is the very brief agenda that I'm covering today, with leaving you with a thought about the actual area which we generally don't talk about more, or it's talked in a very different formats in terms of tool not performing things, right? So I give you a brief flavor about who we are, what we do. I'll directly jump on to the questions, but this is exactly some of the accolades that you can see. Gartner talks about us year on year, how we've been rated in different segments, where we are in G2 quadrant. These are some public domain, consumption-related articles and documents where we've been mentioned and mentioned as leaders in different aspects, right? Some of the customers, like I said, across the globe who are sort of also helping our community growing very strongly in different formats. There are a lot of GSIs, SIs, end customers in different forms we've been connected. So now, let's talk about actually the reality of the QA automation, that sometimes we talk, but sometimes we do shy away. Sometimes I also feel it's a frustration that overkills the entire nitty-gritties of let's find the RCA of where the problem was, let's solve it, and if your tool does that, can you help us to understand it does not happen in future, right? So I call it a biggest trap because that's when the shopping starts happening. That's when the companies go for separate tools. They keep jumping from one vendor to another. And reality is that after a couple of months or a year down the line, the automation coverage or whatever the goals they've been trying to achieve has marginally improved, but not to the scale where it should have been, right? So let's talk how does this entire journey starts, right? So any company, be it a startup, a mid-scale or a large-scale industries, right, enterprises, there would be a situation where they would have thought about going in automation way. They would have thought about, okay, this is something that most of the companies are practicing. This is something that yields them go to the market very quickly because the paramount of the quality is still something that everybody wants to achieve, right? In the world of Amazon and Facebook's where there is a daily builds deployed, where every half an hour, 1 hour, there's a code getting merged, right? Imagine the life of a tester, how hectic it would have been when you know that they have to test it and they have to be almost on their toes almost all the time, right? So the manual testing was the process, the traditional way of how they've been thinking, they will go about it, and then somebody in some company or one person who's in charge of that would say, hey, we should do this way of going to our market quickly, let's procure a tool, an automation tool, right? Now they would go through an evaluation process of, okay, there will be a lot of tool evaluation, a lot of POCs being done, a lot of comparative analysis would be done, SWOT analysis would be done, okay, why this tool is better than that, and eventually they will come to a conclusion that X tool is something that is probably good for them and good for their fitment, right? But then the reality again hits them when they understand their entire in-house application development is a bit siloed, right? Now, in a given any company or an enterprise, there would be at least minimum 4 to 5 technologies upon which they would be working on, right? Back-end, middleware, front-end, API layer, and microservices layer, and God knows what more would be coming in near days, right? But having said that, you imagine when this all has to be connected and talking to each other, how difficult it is becoming when you are providing a tool for a tester to tell them that, okay, go ahead and test end-to-end, right? I don't think the silo testing is anyway now practiced or observed, but you can't do still an end-to-end testing because your own infrastructure does not support that, right? So you see there is a siloed automation happening, so you will cherry pick few applications, and then you say, okay, let's automate this application, and let's see the productivity. And we will see, in the backend, how do we connect all of our other applications in meanwhile. You will see the complexity or the nature in which these applications have been developed are in such way that it is technically not feasible to automate itself. Like I remember one of my companies, in my past companies, they had written something in automotive, a proprietary language called as KCML, and nobody knows how it was written. The developers have left, and there was just no documentation, and it was just on a very self-serve mode. And if something got cracked, then that day the company would blow up and having 24/7 meetings just to resolve that, right? Your solutions are not scalable because of these given facts that, okay, tomorrow if we scale up or let's say we go CI/CD way or we adopt to DevOps mechanism, how will this siloed automation would eventually be talking to each other, right? So you initially got some automation coverages. I put these all ballpark numbers. These are not the real numbers, but just to give you a flavor of how much would be your manual testing effort versus when you embark your journey with automation, what would be your first success with the automation coverage. to any IT spend, I'm considering right now 20 to 20%, would be your QA spend. So having said that all, now the company is very well gung-ho about like, yeah, let's do this. We have got certain, success achieved. Let's move ahead and sort of trying to make all our application automated, right? So what happens? They see, okay, our coverage has now increased, and again, it has increased more than 50%, let's say. Let's continue this journey. But that is when the actual roadblock is hit, right? Why? Now this is the reality, right? Why? Because of very simple facts, and these are, our day-to-day problems. The people or those folks who were involved in the initial journey are no longer either associated with the company, or the way they approached the initial phase of automation was not documented, or it was all verbal, it was all in meetings, it was all discussed verbally, but nobody took minutes of meeting probably, right? There was no consolidations of these notes, right? Second thing, like I said, there are still certain gaps in some application landscape where you can't touch few areas because it's difficult to automate, right? In that entire experience, what eventually it happens is that you hit a stagnant growth, or the journey that you are looking at, let's go towards 100% automation, that's where the roadblock hits, right? You will see that your entire maintenance is now becoming tedious for one simple fact that your development methods are now changing. I have, at least in my life, I've been Scrum certified, Agile, Safe, and a lot more other process that is relevant for any product managers. But what I've seen is that this keeps on coming, right? So yesterday there was something called as 14-day Scrum that you need to run. Today there's a quarterly planning having in Safe, which does nothing but it's a Scrum of Scrums, for example, let's say, put it that way, right? But what your problem is still the same, that your business outcomes, what you have sort of mentioned, is not being achieved the way it should have been, right? And when this is hit, what happens? So this was your initial success with 100% or whatever, near to 100% coverage that you saw, is now probably dipping down. Dipping down, and release by release, you get to the same state where, okay, we were not able to update our automation scripts because the architecture did not support that, or there was no knowledge. The skill set was very difficult. The way the automation was written, let's say a code-based example, if we take, right? It's almost like a SDET or a developer knowledge level mindset that you need to have to write codes, right? To have those automation scripts corresponding to it. And then when you realize that, okay, these are the road bloggers, maybe the tool or the framework that we have written is not working for us. Now, what do? The typical business problem after that comes to a board level meeting saying that, hey, we invested this much in automation, but where is the ROI? The investment that we made is something that we're not able to achieve, right? So the reality is what I'll say, what I said earlier, is not about how can a tool do wonders for you to achieve that X mark or that 100% coverage. The reality of 50% lies in your own practices as well, right? When I say that, a tool is as good as how beautifully you're using it, right? Yes, the tool should definitely have those avenues, those access points where you should be able to leverage if you have got a problem statement to solve. So for example, if your automation tool does not provide you any storage of documentations of your, let's say, requirements, it's a gap because you have to hop in between two different tools where your requirements are written versus where your scripts are written. And then as and when your application development goes more and more rapidly, every release by release, because of, like I said, the different processes, agile ways of development, your catching up game starts happening, right? So today, when you have automated your script, let's say for version 1, right, after 3 months or 4 months down the line, you will always see that your application is already at, let's say, 4x or 5x ahead of where your previous release was. And with that, the small gaps that keeps happening with each releases, which is about these processes gaps or documentation gaps or technology gaps, your scripts are not anymore relevant. And when that happens, that is when you start thinking, how do we find out a tool, a magical tool that will help you to again go back to your coverage that you initially had flavor of your success with, which what I'll call as, right? So we at Evo have got, like I said, a tool does not do the magic on its own, but we do provide some facilities, some avenues with which it makes the life of a tester easy. When I say that, we believe in this theory that, not everything should be able to be automated. Even the tool should not be completely autonomous. There has to have a manual intervention required to it. There has to have a checkbox of would you want to go ahead with this updation of script or not? Because let's put human first, right? And in my theory, I do believe that we are much more smarter than machines. And we train them, so we believe that I think whatever decision I'm going to take for my own scripts or for my framework is going to be far more logical, right? But like I said, if the tool is helping you to, let's say, automate on web, mobile, APIs, mainframe, or whatever tech stack that you have got in your companies, I think it will do the job of at least 20 to 30% of finding out the right solution, right? Number two, you should also be able to see that are you able to stitch all of these together or not, right? Because now these days, automation testers definitely are the number one end users for these kind of tools. But more and more conversation I'm having these days, I see the business users, the business analysts, the product managers, the product owners, they are also coming into this area of helping a Scrum team in order to speed up the momentum of rapid go-to-market theory, right? When you do that, that means your tool has to be very, very easy to understand. It has to be very, very intuitive, right? And when I say that, it has to be definitely be able to help those users who does not come from the tech background, but are still able to use your tool with minimal training and be able to help and overcome these issues that I just mentioned about it, right? So I'll tap onto those avenues, how Evo generally, and most of the tools should actually also practice and follow in terms of those blockheads. But this is something I really wanted to take some moment and talk about it, our newly launched feature, which takes care, and we have done a lot of research about what exactly the maintenance problems are about, how does it start, and where does it basically sort of become relevant before it becomes too noisy for any company, right? So the impact analysis that we have recently launched, it's a patented idea at Evo. What it basically does is very simple. You have one application at X version. You have one version of your application, let's say in X+1 version. What it does is that you just have to press one button called as Run Impact Analysis. It will run in the background, and it will basically scan through all your test cases, test suites, or anything that is connected in that your framework of your automation framework that you have built. And then another feature of our tool, which is a mind map, it helps you to locate that, basically where exactly your, impacted areas are. So you can drop by to our booth and we can give you a demo of how this functions, what is mind map, how does this all happen. But coming to the main point of the crux of this entire thing, what I'm saying is that I have seen with our own customer set, when they have used this feature, what they have seen is that they were able to upgrade their scripts from, let's say, from last 5 versions, which was sort of irrelevant, and eventually it is in that stale state that you don't want to touch it or you don't want to proceed with updating your scripts. It's that simple, where you have to actually just understand, if you know your landscape or if you know your application workflows, as good as you will be able to update your automation scripts, right? And eventually, what we are aiming for an enterprise is that they go back to their own metrics of saving their 90% or 80% or whatever that metrics is all about, right? So on that note, basically, the juice of this impact analysis that I'm trying to talk about right now is that it's a no-brainer. It's like a one-touch play button like you do in Windows Player, where you go and see your videos. You just play that. The landscape or the test cases will be highlighted in red and green. You would be able to see, okay, these are the impacted ones, and you will be able to open that. In that also, it will just tell you, these are the, let's say the elements that got updated. These were the elements that got deleted. These were the elements that was basically sort of modified or added. And then with one touch, you just upgrade your scripts, right? So, like I said, you can drop by. We can give you the more live demo about it, right? Before I sort of end and hand over to Abhishek, I really want to take some moment also to give you a flavor of our platform. How do we operate and what are the key areas of our platform? So, this is the high-level landscape where you will see that typically there are three major quadrants of test design, test maintenance, and smart execution. A lot of our features, which I talked about, Evo Design Studio, which is our mind map capability in the platform, it helps in sort of sketching out your application landscape. It helps in traceability also because you don't know, a lot of time gets sort of wasted in where the problem was, which test cases got impact. So mind map lets you do that. We have a very smart recorder, unlike other market recorders where you can do all end-to-end, then stop it, and then revisit it and again redo the recording. You can pause it in between, you can edit your test steps, etc., etc. We are also powered by service virtualization and TDM layer because we believe that the test data is a very important layer and a part of the testing process in general. These are our preferred partners, the platforms that we sort of cover, SAP, Oracle, Salesforce. These are the technologies agnostic of the ERP space, and these are the technologies on top you will see web mobile API that we basically also support. Of course, this, like I said, in the days of DevOps, our tool do support CI/CD, so you can integrate with any of your pipelines. The reusability factor is very, very important, so we do that as well. We do have another features called as when you go time to market very quickly, how do you do that? So we have inbuilt elastic grid execution where you can test and execute at scale. And we have seen results where there are thousands and thousands of test cases that has taken earlier, let's say, 3 months or 1 quarter almost in giving the results, has now reduced to weeks and days. So with that note and the flavor of our platform, I would like to now call upon my another colleague of our own group, product management group, which is Abhishek, and he heads a different department. Over to him, and thank you so much for being patient.
Thanks, Manish. It always amazes me, right, when you talk about impact analysis and how do we solve it. So hello, everyone. I hope you are having a good time. I'm Abhishek. I live testing, I talk testing, and I'm fortunate enough that I got opportunity at Evo to lead this department where I get interact to people, I get the opportunity to train people, and basically ensure that they are having a right knowledge in place, and also ensuring our service partners are self-sufficient in delivering transformative solution. So I'm here to talk about our flagship program that we are calling as Evo Foundation League. So let's try to understand what this program is all about and what is in it for you. So this is a flagship program, as Manish told, and this is a learning program which is crafted by our experts to basically cover the entire functionality of our test automation platform that we are calling as Evo Assure. So with this program, you'll see how our platform is actually helping you to do testing in different scenarios and how do we solve complex business problems. Okay, so what's in it for you? So with this program, you'll basically see how our platform is achieving a quality assurance, right, in the testing space. With this program, anyone who has associated with QA would get opportunity to empowered and get their self-transition to test automation professional, right? So consider if you're a BA or if you're a functional test engineer and you want to become a test automation engineer, this program is right fit for you, okay? And this program will also open an opportunity to transition yourself into a test automation world where you'll get exciting opportunities to work as an automation test professional, right? One exciting part is, as Manish was saying, we have our very exciting community. So with this program, you'll also get opportunity to connect with our community, get empowered, and also get rewarded, right? Let's see about what this program covers in a brief. So what you see here, we have got different topics listed. So we'll be showcasing how do we do end-to-end testing, how do we do web automation, API automation, how do we do in-sprint automation, and how we basically solve the maintenance problem. That's the biggest nightmare in these days, right? So all those things would be presented to you. We'll have exercises, we will have a proper expert sessions that will help you learn these topics very, very well, right? From commitment perspective, if you see, this is a 30 hours long program where it will have a blended learning approach. You'll get opportunity to self-learn the program on your tips. Also, there'll be scheduled or canalized workshop where our expert will take us through the business problem that we are solving with this platform. Okay, and then this program would be live for 2 months, and we are already live with the registrations. You can get more information in our booth, right? The USP of this program is, as you can see on the bottom right, is we'll have this, everyone who participates would have on-demand access to training content. Means once you log in, you can refer the training, you can use this training to train internal people, you can use this training to consume later point of time, and you can also get access to expert-led sessions. So consider these sessions as a kindergarten setup, where teacher will be there and will ensure that you are actually learning the topic, right? We'll design a session in a way that will execute a step, for example, and will ask you to execute a step so that you learn that concept well. And there'll be a open Q&A session. So we want to be associated with learners who take part in this journey, right? So we'll have an association with every learner who will be part of this program. They can come to these workshops, these sessions, and they can ask their questions, right? And what's more exciting is we are, as a part of testament and association with this program, we want to reward our learners. So everyone who participates in this program will get a certification of achievement, which you can flaunt and get exciting career opportunities. You'll also get Evo branded t-shirts, and table toppers will get AirPods, right? And to make it more exciting, we'll be sending top 2 among the group to Maldives on a fully sponsored trip from Evo Automation. Isn't it exciting, right? So it's like marriage made in heaven. You're getting learning plus rewards, right? Everything in the same program, okay? And to make it more exciting, first 100 registrations that will happen today via our booth will get exciting goodies, right? So this is what I wanted to cover, and I would kindly ask you to participate. You can cascade this information to your colleagues, your peers, and if you want to know more about this program and if you want to see our platform in action, you can visit our booth, and we'll be happy to host you. With this, I'll open it for Q&A, and if you want to register, you can register here.
Working. Hello, 1, 2, 4, 3 missing. 3. So, interesting session. So this impact analysis, right? I just want to understand that, I'll give you a scenario that you have a UI wrapper that is designed on, let's say, C#, and that has frames. Now, I change a frame from C# to JavaScript, and nothing changes. The architecture remains same. Now, I want to do an impact analysis on that. How would I detect that what has changed, and what will be the impact downstream in this situation?
Okay. We can give you demo, definitely.
Yeah, so thing is, you're asking to uncover how we are doing it, right? The thing is, the answer is, we can do it for sure. So our engine basically compares things against the baseline, right? So we do keep a baseline with us, and we then compare the controls and the changes, right? So we have got a demo. Whatever you're asking, you can see it live in our booth.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah. Working? People at the front generally get more chance, so I was very eager to get the mic right there. Huh?
You will have to walk a bit now. So, Manish and Abhishek, the question is more related with visual testing, right? As we go in, if there are changes to the screens, but nothing has changed. For example, if a field has moved from one to the other side, right? With the current automation, what we'll have to do is, because there's a locator change, you'll have to code it once again. How will Evo automation enable this? Because from an impact analysis perspective, there's no change.
Yeah. So basically, see, there are some 8 to 9 parameters that we capture. Can you hear me? Yeah. So there are 8 to 9 parameters that we capture as part of elements, okay, right from, let's say, XPath to href to label. You do have regular expressions also in it. If something goes as versus nothing, you're able to find out. But with that, there is also a fallback mechanism of algorithm that if this is not found, go to parent, then go to grandparent, then go to this, then go to that. And then there are coordinates that also plays in picture. There is an image detection that also happens and compare with your base version. So this feature that we are talking about right now, we can show you that it's called Iris in our this thing. You're right, impact analysis won't work for that, but we have Iris for that kind of testing to be done, which is more of visual AI and those level of, the dynamic properties that keep change. So that's a different feature for that.
Yeah, just to repeat, so for first 100 registration that will happen today, along with exciting Maldives trip, you will also get goodies rightly from our booth. So please do visit, get more details about the program. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me, right? And if you want to see how I or anyone at AVO can help you learn the product or help your organization to be ready, right? So that you can basically engage ourselves or engage yourselves in your upcoming and projects, right? So please do visit our booth and we'll be. Yeah, and there is one more thing which we are doing LinkedIn contest. Again, the information would be available at the booth, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Manish. May I call upon Vivek Mathur to felicitate them.